There's that. So this was the heat. Oh my god. What is that? Most difficult part. Okay. 2 full cockroaches right there. There's way more dead roaches in this system than I originally found when I was looking. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at this computer right here. This is a Lenovo Legion pre-built tower. I'm actually not sure what model it is, but we'll figure that out in a second here. The owner of this computer asked me to take a look at it to see if I can figure out what's wrong with it and potentially help them upgrade or buy whatever needs to be replaced. They think that the previous power supply that was in here died, and it could have taken the rest of the system because they tried to replace that power supply, which these pre-built aren't known to come with the best power supplies anyways. They bought an actual decent power supply, put it in here, and it still didn't work. So they think that any number of the components in the system could be dead. So they asked me to check it out, and I have parts where I can test these out one by one and figure out and pinpoint what the issue is. I'm going to be doing that right after a word from this video sponsor. Amazon product reviews are pretty much garbage. I rarely look at them anymore because it's mostly bribed reviews or people who leave 5 stars just for the product showing up. I've recently started using a free browser extension called Lustre that helps me get information that I need before making a purchase decision. I'm talking about trusted, in-depth reviews from well-known sources that we all know in the tech community. These are sources that I've already been using for years, except now it's automatically gathered and organized for me. It also recommends similar products and groups them up at different price points, so I can make the comparison myself and choose what's best for me and my own budget. I really like it, and I think you will too. You can learn more about Lustre by clicking on the link in the description, and if it seems useful to you at all, you can give it a try. Thanks for checking it out, and now let's get back to the video. So let's take a look at this system. I have not had a chance to really look at it yet. It is missing one of the panels. So I texted the owner and was like, where did the other panel go? And they said they lost it. When it broke down, the owner opened it up and then tried to put the new power supply in. It didn't work, so then they kind of just put it to the side. And apparently in that process, he lost one of the panels. I do like this handle here because you can easily grab it like so. Alright, so what? Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm going to put some gloves on and I'll tell you why in a second. I probably shouldn't even be doing this in my room or my office because this is kind of gross, but at least nothing's moving in here. Oh jeez. I'm going to get my other camera so I can give a better view and angle. That's a bug right there. Very disgusting, but it's weird because if you look in general at this system, it's not super dusty or dirty or like, you know, have like grime or like, I don't know, cigarette smoke stains or anything like that. It actually looks like a pretty clean system. I'm gonna take a quick look around as we try to inspect the rest of the system. So this looks like a kind of unique proprietary Lenovo motherboard. The M.2 slot goes vertically right here next to the RAM instead of the typical horizontal, like either above or below the PCI graphics card slot. We do have standard connectors, it looks like, though. It's a little strange how clean this PC looks, but there's a bug here. And then I did see when looking up here, I believe that is remnants of a bug as well. I don't know what the story about that is, but I need to be very careful to make sure nothing crawls out or escapes and then lays a nest in my office or my house. That would be pretty gross. Oh my, okay, yep. Well, so we do have something there too. Man, this is what I gotta work with. Okay. I don't even know how to bring this up to the person. Like, hey, I found bugs in your PC. What's up with that? Kind of awkward. I almost don't even want to touch this PC now because of how gross it is. But I already have it in my possession. I'm going to get some alcohol, grab some Q-tips, and then some plastic bags so I can dispose of these bugs. And hopefully there's nothing that's actually alive in here. Guess there's a first time for everything. Ew. Yeah, that's kind of gross. Let's get this guy out of here. So we've got like a head here. As long as there's no living bugs, I think I'm cool. That one has his wings. That's all I see for now. Hopefully we don't run into any more in like any of these random little openings or cutouts or vents. These were the 4 that were fully intact from the system, and then here was that one headpiece. This is really weird to see because any examples I've ever seen, the systems are usually super dirty and nasty, but this one, pretty clean. Alright, I think I'm good to go to try to turn this thing on now, and we'll see if we can get this running. So pressing the power button, nothing is happening. Even though we know that the power supply is at least somewhat functional, because we do have some indication of power getting through to the graphics card. So the first thing I'm going to do is see if this power supply is indeed in good working condition, which it should be because it was put into the system once the system stopped working. So there's no reason that this should have been damaged at any point in time after that. So I am getting a light out of the motherboard with the power supply plugged in. The switch is on. I'm getting light there, but when I short the power button, I'm not getting any power. So maybe this power supply isn't good. Before I do anything else, I'm going to hook my power supply back up, and I'm going to take his memory here, get these in, and see if these are still good. Wow, I was standing up here and I saw this little guy in here. So I wonder if bugs actually got into the power supply and that's how it got damaged. Okay, so with my power supply, it booted right up. So we made it into Windows. So the Corsair Vengeance RAM hopefully is fine. I'll do a full stress test on it later, but for now, it seems to be okay. So I'll take out the M.2 SSD and then the graphics card as well. See if we can get status on those. So we're gonna pull this graphics card out here, which this is a 750 Ti OC. For this SSD, this is an interesting system. Is this like a heat sink? There's that. So this was the heat. Oh my god, what is that? Okay, this is gross. I'm gonna put this in this plastic bug bag. That looks like bug parts just all over in here. What is going on here? Okay, I'm gonna have to clean out this thing once I pull it off. Yeah, it's just all over the place. That's what came off of it. Whew. Well, I think I know what the problem with this PC is now and why it died. There's dead bugs everywhere, and yeah, they probably shorted something out. Whether it be something in the power supply or just something on the motherboard. Let's hope his storage still works. Alright, so it looks like this 750 Ti is good to go, as is the SSD, which is down there. I think that's probably the most important part, even though it's not the most expensive. Whatever data and stuff that he's storing on there, at least that's still good. We have memory that's still good, 750 Ti still good, SSD still good. Power supply, I'm pretty sure is dead, because there's no reason it should not work on my functioning system. The only thing left to really test is the motherboard and CPU. Okay, so I think I have everything plugged in. Alright, looks like it actually works. So, the power supply was the issue. That's very strange. I'm going to have to talk to the owner of this PC because this should have been a new power supply, or at least a working one, when they put it in there. That would be a pretty easy fix if it just happened to be the power supply. But I'm not sure if he still wants to keep this nasty case. Maybe we'll see if he wants to upgrade it to a new case, see if I can fit this in a different one. It's Sunday at 1:27 right now, a.m. I think I'm going to have to ask him in the morning because he's probably asleep right now. And then I'll ask him what he wants to do. Let me actually shut this down now. And then see what the processor is under here, because I don't know. Actually, we can go into the BIOS. What am I saying? Core i5-9400F. So this is kind of funny because when I texted him earlier and I asked him what he thinks the specs was, he thought it was an i7-10700, and the graphics card originally was a GTX 1660. We have a 750 Ti here. Apparently it was because one of his friends swapped out the graphics card because they thought that was an issue. But the fact that he has an i5-9400 instead of the 10700 under here, apparently he just wasn't too aware of what he had in his system. And he did tell me that he's not really a computer guy, so that's fine. I know what the system is now. I'm gonna send him a text in the morning, let him know everything that's happening, and then let him decide what he wants to do from here, and I'll just help him with that. If he does want me to, you know, salvage the motherboard and the CPU and put it onto a new system, I'm going to be doing that and cleaning it up, and I'm going to be charging him a little bit of extra. Not a ton, I'm not going to rip him off, I'm not about that life, but I'm going to charge him a little bit for all these dead bugs that I already found and disposed of in this bag. So yeah, I'm going to get this shut down, then I'm going to take this whole PC, put it in this bag, and then take it and put it in the garage. So we're gonna put this in the far corner of the garage, as far away from the house as possible. I would put it outside, but I don't want that to get stolen, so. And now we disinfect everything I touched. In the morning, I would text the owner of the PC, figure out what he wants, and then report back.
The next day.
So I talked to the owner of the PC and I told him about the bugs, and by bugs I actually mean cockroaches. I let him know about it, and he said, oh yeah, my last apartment, we had cockroaches coming out of the vents and stuff. So I was like, okay, but he's moved since then, which is good because I don't want to, you know, fix his computer and then have the same problem happen over again. So hopefully the cockroach problem does not come back for him. But then I gave him some options as to what we can do in terms of getting his computer up and working again. There were two things that I recommended to him that we have to do. And the first was the power supply. For all we know, the power supply is dead. And I saw a cockroach through the grill yesterday, and that's only from what I can see. There could have been more that have gone in there and died and, you know, caused it to short and fry out. So I'm not a person who knows how to repair power supplies, and I'm not opening that thing up to find out if there are more cockroaches in there. So I told him we have to replace the power supply. It'll start them fresh and brand new, and he agreed to that. The next thing I told him that we had to do was get him a new case, because that case, as I was going through it, I pulled out some cockroaches, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were more. I saw some in areas I couldn't reach. I recommended to get a brand new case, because yeah, I don't want to have to do a deep clean to get all the cockroaches out there. I don't think it's worth it. Cases are cheap enough. So he also agreed to that. So we for sure have to get a power supply and then a brand new case. Now, remember, he has the i5-9400F in the system, as well as the GTX 750 Ti. Of those two, I recommended for him, if he was going to do an upgrade, to upgrade the graphics card, because the i5-9400F, while it's not the best, it can still work with a wide range of pretty decent graphics cards. So then of the graphics cards, I recommended him like 3 different price ranges. We have the GTX 1060 range, the GTX 1070, and then something like an RTX 3060. I kind of skipped over the 2060 because those are being super overpriced right now. Actually, the RTX 2060 is in the same category as the GTX 1070. They're both relatively similar performance, and they're going for around the same price. So for those price ranges though, the GTX 1060s, those are going for around $250 right now. So they're like $150 overpriced in my area. Then you have the RTX 2060 or GTX 1070 performance range. Those are going for around $400 right now. So about $150 overpriced as well. And then we have the RTX 3060s, which if you're lucky enough to be able to get one online from an e-tailer or something like that, or EVGA when they do their drops, I think they work out to, after tax and shipping, roughly $500, which I know is overpriced compared to the MSRP, but that's just what we're dealing with now in this market and due to the tariffs and things like that. So $500 RTX 3060, but those are only being scalped for in my area for around $625 to $650. So about $150 overpriced there too. Now I gave him the option for all three of those and kind of explained the situation, and he ended up choosing the RTX 3060. The last thing we had to talk about was the motherboard and processor, which I let him know that it was in working condition. It's just that the i5-9400F isn't the best processor right now. It would still work, but it would bottleneck the RTX 3060 a bit. If we upgraded to a new motherboard and processor, it would have been using basically the very limit of the budget that he had. So I left it up to him to decide, and he decided let's keep the motherboard and processor for now. If he starts playing with the system and doesn't like it, he can upgrade later on. Like, there's no rush to upgrade right now. If he can save money and still be happy with it the way that it is, then he would go for that. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna order the power supply from Amazon, and then I'm going to, as well as the case, and then I'm going to have to look in the local market, but there's plenty of RTX 3060s. But for right now, we need to extract the rest of the parts from the system. I've got some Q-tips, toothbrush, some isopropyl alcohol. I'm gonna lay out some newspaper, some paper towels, and we're gonna do that system. We're gonna put some gloves on again to do this. So we're going to be extracting hard drive, solid state drive, the RAM. We'll take the 750 Ti out so I can clean it up and stuff, the motherboard and processor as well. The power supply and case are going in the trash where they belong. I think my biggest worry right now is removing that motherboard and finding more cockroaches underneath, because that's like the biggest covered surface right now. That's a cockroach shell. So it's the casing of a cockroach. It shed and just left that behind. So I guess that's not bad as having the full thing in there. Here's the motherboard. So I think the other night I thought there were just like bug guts around everywhere. But if you look, I think that might actually be cockroach like poop or crap. So I'm gonna have to scrub that, even though the... Oh man, what is going on here? You see that all right there? I think that's just like cockroach crap. Yeah, all this stuff right here that looks kind of like it might be rusting. I think that's just cockroach droppings all over. So yeah, this is very gross. I'm gonna have to do a good scrubbing. And if you just look at the backside, I'm gonna see how well I can clean this. But yeah, this is kind of bad. Like, you can just see when I try to get the light reflection on it, you can see all that stuff that's on there. Cockroach droppings. I don't think this cooler is worth using anymore. There's just stuff all over. This does have a standard 4-pin. I have plenty of Intel coolers. I can just give him a different one. But yeah, there's just too much in here that's not worth trying to clean out of this. So this is going in the trash. I don't know if something got underneath there, but there's at least crap pretty close. So I'm gonna open that up, which is gonna suck because I don't wanna get any of the cockroach stuff between the pins. So by releasing this CPU, I gotta be very careful. Yeah, this is what's coming off of just scrubbing the back. It'd be one thing if it was just like black from dirt, but this is brown from roach. Do they just like wedging themselves in here until they die? I'm curious if what's killing them is like them just shorting something out, which is not enough to like kill the components, but it's enough for their small bodies to like fry them and kill them. Cause yeah, I don't know why it would have squeezed itself back here just to go and die, but yeah. We're gonna take the CPU out now and see what's underneath here. The actual processor doesn't look too bad, but as you can see, there's some stuff up here, as well as some bug parts in this corner here. Just gonna wipe those down real quick. Yeesh. All right, so I think this is as good as I'm gonna get it. It's a little bit moist still because the alcohol I'm using isn't like 99%. It's only 70%. I'm actually at a 99%. This was the best thing that I could pick up at the local store. So it's not an issue though. I just need to make sure to wait for all the water to evaporate. So I can just let this sit for a couple of days or run it under like a heat gun just to make sure everything gets evaporated. It looks way better than it was before. The last thing we have is graphics card, which he's not even gonna use. So the PCB on the graphics card is actually not bad at all. This looks pretty clean and pristine, but if we look under the heatsink, they did get under here and laid their crap all over the place. Not horrible, I guess. Alright, this looks pretty much as good as new now. So last part and most difficult part, okay, that's gross. And that is 2 full cockroaches right there. It's really weird to me why every bug I found looks like they've like somehow self-crushed themselves. It looks like these were kind of like smashed or splattered into, you know, the back of this graphics card shroud. I'm curious, what were the last moments of life like? How did they get here, and then how did they eventually just die in a kind of smashed looking position? This is the final stretch. There's random droppings all over underneath the shroud, but if you look now, it looks relatively clean, fresh and brand new now. So I'm gonna let this sit and dry as well. Now I can wrap all this up and just toss it. I'm just gonna let this sit and dry for the next day or two. In the meantime, I'm gonna order the power supply in case, and then I'm gonna try to pick up an RTX 3060 in the local marketplace. Then after that, I should be able to assemble and test this build and make sure it's ready to go.
Several days later.
So several days have passed since I cleaned these components the other night. They're pretty much all dry and good to go. I also, in that time, procured the rest of the components that I needed to put this build back together to get it up and running. So first up, we have this EVGA 700BQ power supply. It's 700 watts, which is going to be way more than enough for what this system is going to be running. And it's kind of like a middle-of-the-road power supply that is very budget-friendly. So we're going to go with that. For the case, we have right here, this is going to be the Lian Li 205M, the Lenovo motherboard. It's actually a micro ATX, so I didn't want to put this in like an ATX case and have a bunch of room on the bottom. And then for the graphics card, to replace that really old GTX 750 Ti that was in the system, we're gonna put this EVGA RTX 3060 XC edition, which I was able to find for a decent price on OfferUp in my local area. So I picked this up yesterday. So yeah, we have everything here now to get this back up and running, so let's put it together. All right, and the moment of truth. So the motherboard actually has proprietary connectors, and I thought just putting the power switch into what I thought was the 2 pins for the power switch would have worked. Looks like it's not going to work, so I need to grab the cable from, I guess, the old case. So let me go and do that real quick.
A few moments later.
When I went to go get the cable with the specific proprietary connector, I had to open up the front panel and then the top panel. There's the front and the top. What's on top of here is gross. It's just lined. Like, you see all that texture? Looks like cockroach crap everywhere. I mean, there's way more bugs up here too. There was a lot of bugs up top, and then if you look at the bottom there, that was all covered by the front panel. So there's way more dead roaches in this system than I originally found when I was looking just in the top and the front panel alone. Like if you just look at that, oh, that's just so bad. And this is what I need to get, because I need that power button. So I got the power button and the cables out of the case, and now I gotta scrub this down really good because this is pretty disgusting. So I've completely disassembled the box, and it is crazy how deep these roaches can get. So look at how much is in here right now. And this is in this little plastic housing, which was pretty much, I thought it looked pretty closed off. Like, I didn't see really many holes, but I can't believe there's this much stuff in here. I've completely removed, this is the power switch right here with the proprietary connector. This should do the trick. I'm gonna dunk this all in rubbing alcohol and then just be done with this. Go upstairs and hope this just works. Completely saturate this entire thing. Okay, got the power button completely clean. All cleaned up and good to go. So I have the connector here. It's gonna go into this set of headers right here. So if all goes according to plan, I'm gonna plug this in and flip the power supply on. When I press this button, the system should turn on with no issues. And there we have it. So this is the case's power button connector, and I believe I need to connect it into the center two pins here. So let's see if this works. So I got it on there. Let's back this up and see if pressing the power button turns it on. We are good to go. So I have the system closed up and I'm running IDA 64. Yeah, I'm just gonna let this run overnight. Hopefully in the morning when I check on this, it's good to go with no issues.
The next morning.
So it's the next morning and the system is still on and running, so that's a good sign. We are currently 9 hours and 20 minutes into the test, so I would say this is a success. So this system is good to go and it's ready to go back to its owner now. And the issue with it ended up being super simple. It was just a dead power supply. And normally that should have taken less than like an hour to troubleshoot and diagnose. But the circumstances was that we had a roach infested computer and there was just roach body parts, shedding, and then crap all over it. So I tacked on a bunch of hours cleaning each of the components up individually and being super careful not to, drop dead roach body parts and crap all over my house and in my garage. That's why it took a lot longer, but at the end of the day, I'm really glad that we were able to reuse a lot of the components. They just required a lot of cleaning, but afterwards, they were working fine beforehand. It was just you don't want to put roach crapped all over components back into like a new case in that. The power supply was dead, definitely had to be replaced. We saw one roach through the fan grill there, but I'm sure there was a lot more dead roaches in there just because that's a warm source and I believe they're attracted to that. So there's probably much more if we open that up, which I'm not going to do. So disgusting, I'm just going to throw that thing away. And then the case was technically reusable, the old case, but just after finding that many roaches in there and then opening up the top and front panel and finding those like clusters of dead roach body parts and crap lining the top of it, there's no way I could have cleaned that and made it like new again. Like no matter how many hours I would have put into it, those roaches can get into every nook and cranny. I'm not confident I could have cleaned all that out no matter how many hours I put into it. So we definitely have to replace the case. I'm really curious though, how many of you out there have worked on PCs where you have found bugs, whether it be roaches or something else or some other living organism that found its way into the case. I know on Reddit I've heard of horror stories of like people finding like skeletons of mice or something, so like rodents, and this was my first experience ever with something like this. I've never seen a bug inside a computer in all the computers that I've owned or the ones I've worked with over the last decade or so, and just to go from that to not just a few bugs but a whole entire like nest and clusters of dead body parts, that was a pretty big surprise for me. But Yeah, I'm curious to hear your horror stories out there. Be sure to let me know down in the comments below. But other than that, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you found this entertaining, useful, or you learned something. I want to thank you all, as always, for watching and for your continued support of the channel. Again, be sure to leave your horror stories down in the comment section below so me and the rest of the viewers can read them. And yeah, I'll see you down there as well as in the next video. Bye.